So let's get back to boys and girls sports, right? So this is happening only in California or statewide?
It is happening statewide. It's happening across the entire nation. Whether you live in a red state or a blue state, you're not safe from this. And yes, there's been red states that have put good laws into place that are protecting girls' sports, but it is ultimately happening everywhere. We're seeing a lot of states put laws back into place, like the Save Girls Sports Act. So it's stating the idea that you have to play on the sports team based off of your sex and not a gender identity. So here in California, we've seen the opposite being pushed. We see that even though Trump came in with his executive order just a few weeks ago saying protect girls sports, and we saw that phenomenal photo of Trump signing that executive order and all these girls and women around him. It was amazing. It'll probably go down, I believe, as the best photo from his entire presidency. And it was in the first month. Yes, it was amazing to see that happen and to see him just tell those girls, okay, come on in, and to see a place in an administration where we finally have a voice again, where we didn't have that for 4 years. But, you know, Trump signs this executive order, and the very next day, what does California do? They make it clear they're not going to follow the executive order. And so it seems pretty clear that the elected officials in the state of California want to die on this hill. And it's a really odd hill to die on. A hill that wants boys and girls sports. It just makes no sense at all.
No one was that. No one. Nobody. If you ask like 100 people on the street, like 99 of them would say, no, I'm not for that.
Yep, absolutely. And then the other argument they like to make for the very, very few that are okay with it, they make the argument, well, it's just one boy. It's just like, it's not really affecting anyone, but I played soccer. And so if there was 20 of us on a team, and if there was one boy on the team, now 19 other girls are being affected. Also, the one girl that didn't make the team because of the boy.
Yeah.
But so now we have 19 girls being affected. Now we have, let's say, 10 games in a season. That's 199 girls being affected because of one boy. And so even one is one too many. I mean, we're seeing it happen a lot more than once, though. I mean, in the state of California alone, I'm getting calls and DMs every other day. Hey, my daughter has to play against this boy. Hey, there's a boy on the girls water polo team. Hey, this is happening at the elementary. My daughter feels uncomfortable changing in her junior high locker room because there's a boy in it. This is happening across the state, across the nation. It doesn't matter if you're in a red city or a blue city or a red state or a blue state. It's happening everywhere.
And soccer is a physical sport, right?
Extremely physical. I mean, I was a very physical player when I played. I had teammates that would call me the brick wall. The joke was kind of like that you weren't going to get through me, and that I also was going to do anything possible to win the ball, to get the soccer ball. I mean, I wasn't ever going to purposely put girls at danger of being injured, but I was going to go 110% in to win the ball every single time. That was just the player I was. And sometimes I'd get injured because of that, or sometimes the girl I'd be playing against would get injured. And that was just, we know that comes with the game. But the thought of having to go 110% into a 50-50 ball against a man, I'm not coming out to being able to walk off the field after that. I'm going to be put on a gurney after that. I mean, you think about these girl soccer players, we see a lot of the girls are between like 5 foot, 5'5", 5'6", and weighing between 100, 150, 160 pounds. And then you get one of the male athletes who's 5'11", 5'10", weighing 200, 250 pounds. A girl's not going to come out safe from that.
It's crazy. But why don't they do the vice versa? Why there are no women that are playing in the boys' sports?
Well, that proves our point, that these boys are going into girls' sports because they know they can become the top athlete. They know they can be the winner. They know they can take all the titles. Girls aren't going to willingly go into a boys' sport and put our own safety at risk. You can be one of the top girl swimmers, let's say, and so that your safety, your physical safety while you're swimming might not be at risk. But even if you're the top girl swimmer, if you go compete against the males, you're now going to be one of the bottom ones. You're not going to make the team. And so that's why we're not seeing it happen that way. We're only seeing it one way because it only benefits one side.
Have you ever had an interaction with this kind of a boy that plays for in girl sports?
Luckily, I've never had to play against one. I haven't had that interaction. I've been at volleyball games where I've seen a male playing at the high school level on a female high school team, and it was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. It was so evident that he was the key player. It was so evident they only made it to playoffs because of him. I mean, I used to play volleyball. I played club. I played a little bit in high school until I ended up just focusing on soccer only. But when I watched that volleyball match just a couple months ago, I was watching it, and as someone who played volleyball and understands volleyball, he was the only good player on the team. Their setter was good too, but if he wasn't on that team, they would have never made it to the CIF playoffs. We would have never seen that happen. I was watching it like, man, I haven't played volleyball in years, and I was probably better than all those high school girls on the team. And that's not to put down those high school players. That was just the reality of the level of the team. They weren't good. But one boy can carry that team all the way to the playoffs. It's absolute insanity.
What do you think all those boys have in common? Mommy problems, daddy problems?
I think there's a lot of mental health issues going on with it at the end of the day. And so it does break my heart for some of these boys. They're confused. They're being lied to by the adults telling them that you can change your sex.
Also, do you think they're doing this unwillingly?
I think it's a mix. I think we see when you get to the collegiate athlete level, when you get to the Olympics level, I think they are using this strength to their advantage and to win. I do think when you see it happening at the junior high level and the high school level, I think a lot of them are confused. I think they're not necessarily struggling with gender dysphoria. I mean, that gender dysphoria is a real thing, but it's a very small percentage of people that struggle with that. I think it's a social contagion of the time. And so I think if they're a boy who maybe doesn't fit in, doesn't have that many friends, and then they realize, oh, if I transition, I'm going to be so well accepted. These other kids are going to be like, yay, look at you embracing your true identity, quote unquote, true identity. So they realize, oh, maybe I can fit in and have some friends and be a good athlete and do all these things if I change my identity. And then they have these adults telling them it's possible. So a lot of the boys that are doing this at a younger age, my heart does break for them. They're being lied to. They're confused. And at the end of the day, they're not going to end up any happier. They're living a lie.
I would like to see statistics or some polls being done, I won't say in 5 years, just to see what do they have in common, mommy problem, daddy problems, economy-wise, etc. But let's say, so you saw my son, he's 6 years old, right? If in 5 years he says that he's a girl and he wants to play soccer or football or basketball in a girl's team, there is no chance I'm going to let him do it. Mm-hmm. But those parents, they let their boys to play against girls.
Yeah, I absolutely believe those parents are the problem. Those are the parents that should be saying no. One, for their own kids' sake, and tell them that, no, you're not a girl. You are a boy. You know, the stats do show already that if you do not affirm a child that they are the opposite sex, they'll eventually come to terms with their opposite sex. I believe it's almost 90% of kids that are not affirmed. Once they get through puberty, they come to terms and accept their actual body. But if you start affirming them, we see they go down this whole medical transitioning, which is actually just sterilizing and mutilating children. I believe we're going to look back on this in the near future, and we're going to see that this is the biggest medical scandal of our lifetime.